Good morning, children. Welcome back to the social science class. In our previous class, we know very well we were discussing about the lesson impact of British rule in India. So, as we were discussing about the lesson impact of British rule in India, in our previous class, we were discussing about the modern education system in India. So, as we have discussed the modern education system, today we need to discuss about the impact of British education in India. What was the impact of British education in India? See, many of the people, they tried their level best to universalize the British education system in India. So once the British education became universalized in India, so it was having its own impacts. So let us discuss one by one in detail and try to understand how they were important. So once the British education became universalized in India, the Indians were able to develop modernity. So Indians came to know about what is secularism. So even they started to understand the democratic activities and rationality along with nationalistic ideals. See, these all things came to an existence in India or among the Indians. It is only because of the British education. So Indians started to develop modernity. So Indians started to understand what is the importance of secularism, and they tried to understand the meaning of secularism and democratic attitudes and rationality, and along with the nationalist ideals. So now, in one or the other way, we can say the British education helped a lot for Indians to understand their own nationalistic ideals. So next is impetus was received for the local literature and languages. In the sense, the local languages and the local literatures which were there in India, they too got the importance because of the education system. See, before that, what happened, you see, as the education system was not developed in our country, the local literature, the local languages, they were not at all having any importance. But once the British education system became universalized, what happened, you see, the local languages, the local literature also started to become very important. And now people concentrated over the local literature and local languages, and they tried their level best to contribute something for the development of the local literature and the local languages. This facilitated many in thinking process among the educated classes. So as the local languages and local literature started to give an importance, no? So definitely what happened, you see, the people, those who were educated, no, in India, so it gave an opportunity, it facilitated thinking process among the educated people. Now, simply people did not ready to accept the British words. So they started to think about this one. So which is right, which is wrong, and they were able to make their own decisions. So this was all possible because of what? The education system. So as the education system played a very important role, so we need to understand that one. Periodicals started emerging. Now you see, apart from that, no, periodicals started emerging. So periodicals are nothing but the newspapers, magazines, and many other things. These scrutinized the policies and working of the government, which in turn enabled the Indians to have critical opinions on various issues. Now you see, when the periodicals came into existence, so here the working of the government and the policies of government were clearly explained, and the people now, they were able to understand what exactly the planning and what exactly the working of the government is there, and people were able to express their own opinions related to any of the issue. Okay, so next to that, new social and religious reformation movements emerged. So, you know very well, casually what happened, you see, once the education system developed in India, so it influenced a lot on the social life of the people. Now people started to think about the religious reform movements. So they started to give importance for the religious reform movements. You know very well, during that time, no, the Indian society used to face number of social problems. So as day by day people started to become educated, they started to think about the welfare of the society, and it was only because of again the education system. Next, you see the thoughts of thinkers like J.S. Mill, Rousseau, and Montesquieu brought fresh thinking in the mind of educated youth of India. Now you see the great philosophers, the great thinkers like J.S. Mill, Rousseau, Montesquieu. So their ideas brought fresh thinking in the minds of the youth, educated youth of India. Now you see the educated youth which were there in India, no, they were totally influenced by the thinkings of J.S. Mill. They were influenced by Rousseau. They were influenced by Montesquieu, and they started to think in the same way. And these people know always they tried their level best to bring the equality in the society. So they tried their level best to eradicate almost all the problems which are going to be seen in the Indian society. So for that reason, the education system started to become very, very important during this time. The freedom struggles that were taking place across the globe influenced the Indians also. Now you see, the freedom struggles which were taking place across the world, across the globe. So they too influenced on the Indian freedom struggle. For example, you see, when you people were there in the 9th standard, no? In 9th standard, you have studied about the French Revolution. Actually, the French Revolution took place in 1789 itself. The French Revolution also influenced on the Indian freedom struggle. So, what are all the developments were taking place all over the world? So, that developments also influenced on the Indians. And the Indians now they thought that it is the right time for us to rebel against the British in order to get the freedom. Okay? So, this all happened only because of the education. So now as the people became educated, no, so it was possible for them to understand what are all the things are going on around them. Next, Indians could understand and appreciate their rich tradition. You know very well, it's very, very important. The Indian tradition, the Indian history, the Indian heritage, everything is great. So especially now, once the people started to get the education, no, they started to know the importance of the tradition, and they started to appreciate their own tradition. And until and unless we won't appreciate our tradition, so our tradition cannot become that much popular or that much important. So now, because of the education system, people started to understand about their own tradition, and they started to appreciate their own tradition also. So these all things happened only because of the education. So like this, new thinking and cultural perception that emerged due to the British education system created a new generation of Indians with the progressive attitudes. So now, the education system which was implemented by the British in India, it created a new generation, and that too the generation with the progressive attitude. So progressive in the sense the developmental attitude. Okay. So today we have discussed about the impact of British education in India. So till now whatever we have discussed from this lesson, no. So here itself we are going to wind up this lesson, because the next part of the lesson is there, no. The next part of the lesson has been deleted for this year in the syllabus. So no need to think about the further part of the lesson. So next period, no, in the sense in the next class, I am planning to start a new lesson. So actually, whatever the syllabus at present you have, no, still it is in a dilemma. Exactly, we don't came to know